Okay, I don't have a video yet for Scream Extreme, so I'm going to start making that video right now. And in this one, when you're done, what you see is going to look a lot like what you should have when we finish. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to go ahead and close that because we're going to start making the image. And where I want you to go is page number 339. The first things I'm going to do is remember Window, Workspace, Reset Essentials. Go to the current tool icon right over here on the option bar. I'm going to right click on that. I'm going to select Reset All Tools. Okay. And because I have some weird colors from some stuff I was doing elsewhere, I'm going to press the letter D as in Delta. And that's going to return me to the default colors, black over white. Great. Now we're all at the same place. And now we're on page number 339, and we're starting on step 1. We're going to press Control N as in November. And we're going to wait. Good. Okay, we're going to be naming this magazine cover. And let's look at the rest of their instructions here. Okay, we want it to be 8.5 inches wide. Make sure that that's theirs. 10.75 inches wide. Why mine's already set, it's because I was just doing this one. We're going to make sure that we set the resolution to 300 pixels. Remember, pixels are those individual dots per inch. Color mode, red, green, blue, 8-bit. And the background is going to be transparent at this point. Now that we've got that done, we're going to go ahead and click on OK. Now, the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to save. Okay, File, Save As, and you're going to go to your Pictures folder, okay, and you're going to save here. And so I'm going to go just one in magazine cover for myself. You do not need to type in video. Okay. And let's make sure that we're saving that as a PSD, Photoshop PSD. And I'm going to click on Save. If this box shows up, you can click on Don't Show Again. It doesn't matter. Okay, now that we've done this, make sure your rulers are visible. The ruler's up here. If they are not, press Control R, as in Control Romeo. Okay, great. Now we're on page number 340. And the first thing we're going to do is rename this layer 1. We're going to name this layer background. What am I doing? Okay. Okay, so now we have a background layer, and they want that to be orange. So I'm just going to go ahead and right click on that, and I'm going to select orange. Great. Now we are on the background layer. Normally, the layer couldn't be anywhere else. And we need to generate a new layer. So we're going to press Control Shift N as in November. Now, the other way you can do that is you can come up here to Layer, New Layer. They both do the exact same thing, just so you're aware. And we're going to name this new layer Wakeboarding. And we're going to make the color violet. Okay, and click on OK. Great. Okay, now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go to Canvas and you're going to find the wakeboarding image. Okay, and where is that? It's right here under the Scream Extreme assignment. You see wakeboarding.jpg. So that's where you're going to go next, and you're going to open that. So then you're going to, after you've downloaded it, File, Open. And now we're going to go to our downloads folder, clicked on this PC, double clicked on downloads, and it's probably here, and it should be for you at the very top. Because I've done this a few times, I'm just going to go to one I've already downloaded. Open. Great. Okay, so we've got that open, and let's see. Okay, making sure we're following this, doing exactly what they want. Control A, Control C, and I'm going to go back to my magazine cover, Control V. I'm going to come up here now to wakeboarding.jpg. I'm just going to close that real fast. And then I'm going to use the Move tool, and I'm going to move the wakeboarder to this corner up here. Okay, and that's where we're going to put it. Now, the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to resize it so that you have 2 inches of blank space. Now, the easy way to make sure that you've got this right, I'm going to come over here to this ruler right here. I'm going to press and hold the left mouse button down in that ruler, and I'm just going to drag a guide over until it's lined up with the 2-inch mark. Good. Now that I've got that done, I'm going to press Control T as in Tango. I'm going to go to the corner here, I'm going to hold the shift key down with my left hand, press and hold the left mouse button down. The reason I'm holding the shift key is so that I don't distort the ratio, so that the ratio remains the same. I'm about to my 2-inch line there. I'm just going to go ahead and release the mouse button, release the shift key. And then with that all done, I'll come over and click on the check mark. Yours might be over here somewhere. You can also just hit enter. There are several ways of doing that. And I'm going to get rid of that guide now. View, show, guides. And the guide's gone. The guides don't print. It just starts to clutter the image. Okay, that took us through to the bottom of page number 341. I'm now turning the page here. Okay, so the next thing we're looking at on here is color panels. And let's see here. Yep, just making sure. So I want to come over here to this little stack right here. You see that stack? I'm going to click on that. Make sure you've selected CMYK sliders and CMYK spectrum. CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. And basically, this is how printers actually work. Even if you look at the laser printer in my classroom, the color one, those are the colors in it. The only ones that work in red, green, blue are inkjet printers. You might have a printer at home that works with red, green, blue, but laser printers and any commercial printing equipment works in CMYK. Okay, so I've set those. I'm just going to click somewhere over here just to get out of that menu. Okay. And now I'm turning the page again. What we're going to do next is choose the color using the eyedropper tool. Now here I am going to zoom in some so I can actually see what I'm doing. I want to see this little stripe right here in his shorts, okay? And now I'm going to choose the eyedropper tool, and that's on page number 344. And I'm going to carefully select the bright yellow off of his shorts here. It's really more mustard looking, and I know that, but we're going to call it yellow. Okay, now I'm going to go back and zoom out, Control 0, because now I've got that color loaded in my foreground. Great. Now, the next tool I'm going to use is the paint bucket tool. But before I do that, I'm going to select the background layer. Okay. Then I'm going to go to the paint bucket right over here. Right. You may see a rectangle for the gradient tool there. If so, you'd right click on it. And I'm just going to click on the background layer here. Great. The background layer is this ugly yellow. I'm going to try stabbing at a different spot on these shorts. See if I can get a better yellow, because honestly, that's ugly. Okay, that's a little better. Good. Okay, so that was a slightly better yellow. I just didn't like that yellow is all. Okay, so the next few pages are talking about filters and artistic filters and the like. So I'm gonna flip past those next few pages to make this video a little bit shorter. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to duplicate the wakeboarding layer. Okay, so you see I switched to the wakeboarding layer. I'm going to right click on the wakeboarding layer and I'm going to select duplicate layer. And that was step number 1 on 355. And we're going to name this wakeboarding edits. Right, this time you don't hear the snoring in the background of my bulldog. Instead, you hear students talking. Anyway, so we're now on the wakeboarding edits layer here. And so the next thing we're going to do, and we did this with Monster Girl. If you were in class when we did Monster Girl, we're going to go ahead and apply the liquify filter. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to select filters, liquify. Now, we want to make sure that this one here is pressed. Keep in mind that circle there, we can change the size of that circle with the square bracket keys that are next to the letter P. The one closest to the letter P makes it smaller, the one further makes it bigger. Okay, now what you're going to do is real simple. You're going to come down here to the bottom of this image, and you're going to go ahead and put some little line things coming down. You notice I can add them. Just a minute. Okay, coming back over here to this image here at this point, and I'm just going to go ahead and make a few of these coming down. Okay, that's just my watch telling me it's installing an update. Now I can then sort of go off those if I want to, so you just go ahead and make a few of these. Great. Okay, you can spend a few more minutes if you want to making more, but that's okay. When you're done, you're going to click on OK. So now we have on top our wakeboarding edits layer, and you see these little lines coming down. The reason we did it this way is that way if you thoroughly mess up, you can still just go back to the wakeboarding layer and make another wakeboarding edits layer. So it's just a way of making sure that you have something that's recoverable. The next thing we're going to do now is insert the additional graphics. Okay, so what again, you're going to come back over here. You're going to download these pictures right here: parasailing, dirt biking, and rock climbing. Okay. And so I'm going to go back to Photoshop here, assuming you've already done that. And I'm going to open those images. File, open, and they're here somewhere. Here they are. Now, because I download them like this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on that top one. I'm going to hold the shift key down, and now I've selected all three at once. Just a faster way to open these files. I'm going to click on open. Good. Now, the book talks about other ways of moving these into the image. I'm going to show you how I do this, and obviously I think it's the easiest way, or I would do it somehow differently. I'm going to come over here to View, Window, Arrange, and I'm going to go to 4 up. Okay, now the one I want on the bottom of the stack, and they need to be in the same order as you see them in the book on page 359, both the images and the layers. Okay, so I'm going to make sure I'm on the Move tool, and I'm going to drag the rock climber, come on, into the image. Great. Now I'm still on the Move tool. I'm going to click here to select the dirt biker. I'm going to drag the dirt biker into the image. Now I'm going to come over here, parasailing, press and hold, drag parasailing into the image. Okay, by doing this, these three here are in the same order. At this point, I can close these three images and just get them out of my way. Okay, so these three are in the correct order, and the first one I'm going to do here is rock climbing. Okay, now, and what are we going to make that? Green. They want it green. Now, before we go any further, what I'm going to do, you can see I'm on the rock climbing layer. I'm going to come over here to the Move tool. I'm just going to purposely because the layer is locked. Unlock. Okay, and you saw what I did there, right? Lock, 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 lock. Good. Okay, now with the Move tool selected, I'm just going to go ahead and, yep, that's the rock climbing layer. Okay, mostly I'm just wiggling it around to make sure I'm on the right layer. Dirt biker. Dirt biker, enter, right click, green, still on the Move tool, drag the dirt biker over, good. And the last one, parasailer. And that's right, fat finger, P-A-R. Okay, good. Enter, right click, green, and again, I'm on the Move tool still, making sure, yes I am, great. Okay, just select all three, so click, shift, click. I've okay, what I did there, clicked on the top one, held the shift key down with my left hand, clicked on the bottom one. I selected three at once. Let's see here. Is this where they tell us to arrange them? Yeah, this is where they tell us to arrange them. They just want us to make sure that we have them all lined up nicely. Now they are all lined up nicely. I clicked on this here. I'm also going to go to, which one was that? The one in the center. I'm going to go to this one right here. I'm going to click on it. Good. And now they're all nicely centered and spaced. Great. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is start converting these for smart filters. So I'm going to click on rock climbing. I could have started in the other direction. Filter, convert for smart filters. Okay. Dirt biker, filter, convert for smart filters. Okay. Parasailer, filter, convert for smart filters. Okay. Good. Now that I've done this, let's see, which one are we starting on? We're starting on parasailer. To let you know, I'm on the top of, or on the bottom of page 361. Okay. And I'm on the parasailer layer. I'm going to come over here to filter gallery. Wait. Okay. Now you have a lot of filter options here, okay? I recommend you just play around for a few minutes and click on them and sort of look at see what they look like. There's a lot of different filter galleries here, okay? So take a moment, click on all of them, see what they look like. Now when you're done, okay, you're done clicking on them at this point, we're gonna go to plastic wrap. Okay, plastic wrap. And what are we setting plastic wrap to? I just want to look at the settings here. Okay, in highlight strength, you're going to put in 15. In the detail box, you're going to put in 11. In smoothness, you're going to put in 7. I already have those in because that's the last settings I used when I used plastic wrap. You'll probably need to change these. And then click on OK. Great. Next one, dirt biker. So we selected the dirt biker, filter, filter gallery. And on this one, we're going to go to stylize, glowing edges. Now I got to move around until I find the dirt biker. There he is. And what do they want this one set for? They want this one set to, let's see here, edge width 2, brightness 6, and the smoothness 5. Okay. So again, I've already got these set this way because I've already done this. Also, make sure you're using glowing edges here. Okay. There are lots of other weird things you could be using here, just to let you know. Okay. Well, that was kind of cool. Anyways, the one you want is glowing edges. Okay. Okay. Once you've done that, you're going to click on OK. Great. Now we're going to go to the rock climber layer. And on the rock climber layer, we're going to go to, again, filter, filter gallery, and we're going to texture. And something, I think I'm on the wrong, am I on the rock climber? Yeah, I'm on the rock climber. And we're going to crackulature. Weird spelling, I know. Scroll down so you can actually see our rock climber. And you're going to change these, and you can see the differences it makes when you play with the numbers here, right? You're going to change these to 15. Crack depth, let's just slide this back and forth so you can get an idea. See? Okay, great. You're going to change that to 6. And crack brightness, again, let's just grab that and slide it a little bit so you get an idea as to what's going on there. Great. And that's supposed to be 9. Great. And click on OK. Good. At this point, we have our filters done here. Now, the next thing we're going to start doing is the blur filter on this guy right here. So before we go any further, what I want you to do is go ahead and close those there, okay? And make sure that you are on the wakeboarding edits layer. Okay, we're back. And now we're on page number 366. And what we're applying here is something called bokeh. And they mentioned bokeh on 365. Bokeh basically is intentional blurs added to the picture. It's a lens error. It's something when the early lenses, sometimes a lens would be bad and would have certain weird effects. And quite honestly, some people thought it looked cool. And so they'd purposely get bokeh filters for their lenses. We're going to be adding it here in Photoshop. So we're going to come over here to filter, blur, iris blur. Okay. And that's on page number 366. Give it a second. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this target basically to about here to his waist, okay? Now, you notice this little circle right here, okay? That little tiny spot right there. I'm going to press the left mouse button down on it, and I'm going to twist it, turn it around like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start bringing these sides in like this, even the bottom here. I'm going to just drag those in with my mouse. And if you're watching, what you're going to be seeing is that basically everything except him is slowly moving out of focus. And that is an intentional effect here. That's what we're trying to do. Okay, I'm going to give it a little bit more angle, more lean there. And I think I'm going to bring these in a little bit more because he's still in focus. Good. So he's in focus, but as we get away from him, stuff starts moving out of focus. And that's an intentional effect we're trying to do here with the iris blur. Once you're done, you're going to go ahead and click on OK. I recommend playing with that for a few minutes and seeing how it looks. Okay, we are now on page number 369, and we're going to start the pentagon effect. At this point, make sure that you're on the wakeboarding edits layer. Okay, and reminding you we're on page number 369. The next thing we're going to do is come over here to the tools panel, and we're going to select the polygon tool. Okay, so you're on the wakeboarding edit layer and have selected the polygon tool. Now, up here for fill, I'm going to click on fill, and I'm going to leave. And so I'm going to go ahead and use the color here that I've recently used. Now, if you've done this over a period of days and the color of his shorts here is no longer up here, here's what you're going to do. I'm going to close this real quick. Okay. You're going to go ahead, use the eyedropper, and hopefully you already did the background here, right? So you're going to go ahead and click on your background, just like that with the eyedropper, okay? And that's going to pop that into your current color. Now, when I go back to the shape tool, right-click, polygon tool, fill, that's going to be the color available to me right there, okay? And so that's the most recently used color. Great. The next thing we're going to change, and I should tell you what page we're on. That would probably be helpful to you. We're on page number 370. And next thing I'm going to do is select the stroke color. So I'm going to click on stroke there, and I'm going to come down here, and I want to find dark green. And you see that right there when I float over it with the eyedropper, and I'm going to click the eyedropper on dark green. Okay? And you happen to know, now you see that that's the next most recently used color. Okay, so we've got that part done. They're leaving this here at 3 point. That's probably okay. We're going to come over here, and we're going to make sure that sides says 5, because we want to make a pentagon. You can make any side, any number of side polygon, but we're making a pentagon, and you want align edges. Great. Okay, now that we've done that, let's just go ahead and make all of these layers visible again. Okay, so all 3 layers are now visible again. And we are on the wakeboarding edit layer. Now, what you're going to do here, note this shape here. I'm going to come to about here, and what I'm going to do, okay, a comment here. What I'm going to do, and I'm not doing it yet, so don't start doing it yet, is I'm going to press and hold the left mouse button and create a polygon. Then, once that polygon is the size I want it, I'm going to press the space bar and move it. Do not release the mouse button until you are completely done with this part of the lesson. So, I'm right here. I'm going to press and hold the left mouse button down, and I'm making a polygon. You can see, did it? Come on. I'm on the wakeboarding edits layer. There it went. Okay. For some reason, didn't do it the first time. Now I can change the angle of the polygon by moving the mouse up and down. When I say up and down, toward and away from the corner of the desk. Now I'm going to press the space bar. I'm going to move that polygon to where I want it. I might resize it and move it again. So once I have that polygon, the size and shape I want, I'm going to now release the mouse button. Okay? Now, the next step I'm going to do here before I'm done is I'm going to come over here to the rock climbing layer. I'm going to right click on the rock climbing layer, and I'm going to create clipping mask. Okay, so go ahead and get that part done. Okay, so you saw that the important point here was create clipping mask, and you see that little tiny arrow right there, and that arrow's pointing down at the polygon layer. So basically it's fitting the rock climbing image to the layer below it, the polygon layer. Now, the next thing we're going to do starts on page number 373, okay? What I'm going to do here is I'm going to make sure I'm on my move tool real fast. Come on, move tool. Yeah, and I'm going to go to the polygon layer here. Make sure I select the polygon layer, and now I'm going to press and hold the Alt key. I'm going to press the left mouse button down, and what I'm doing is duplicating that layer, and you see that line appearing between rock climbing and parasailing. And I'm going to release the mouse button, release the Alt key. Now, we're going to go back to our move tool if that's not selected, and we're going to, you notice a shape suddenly appeared here. We're going to go to that shape of the move tool. We're going to drag that shape around our dirt biker. And then we are again going to go to the dirt biker layer, right click on it, create clipping mask. So I've seen students having trouble with this one. You want to make sure that that polygon 1 copy is under dirt biker, okay? And that you create a clipping mask pointing to that layer. Okay, now we're going to do this one more time. So I'm going to go to the polygon 1 copy right here. I'm going to press and hold the Alt key on Polygon 1. I'm going to select Polygon 1 copy, my mistake. I'm first going to left click and select Polygon 1 copy. Now I'm going to hold the Alt key down. I'm going to press the left mouse button down. I'm going to drag that up between Dirt Biker and Parasailer. Then, now you should be ready for what I'm going to do. I'm going to right click on Parasailer and I'm going to, oops, escape. I forgot to move it. Now I'm going to move the, oops, come on, Polygon 1 copy. I'm going to move Polygon 1 copy over the Parasailer. Okay. As a comment, this isn't working great because Parasailer is a slightly smaller image, so I'm going to have to resize the polygon a little bit. So if the Polygon 1 copy is still selected, I'm going to go Control T. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to that corner. I'm just going to resize that polygon just a tiny bit so it fits. Great. Now, I did resize the polygon a little bit just to make it fit a little bit better. You may or may not need to do that. Then I'm going to come over here to Parasailer. I'm going to right-click on Parasailer. Come on, I need to be over here in my layers panels. Oh, move tool. Yes, apply. Okay, now I can right-click on Parasailer, create clipping mask. Now, if I want to move something around inside the polygon, I can press the arrow keys with this image selected. So you see I've got Parasailer selected, and I can nudge that around. I want to make sure that there's no yellow sticking up out of it. So there we go, a little bit like that. Okay. And that nudge is mentioned on page number 373, 374. I'm also going to nudge the polygon down a little bit because you see how it's being cut off right here at the top, just a tiny bit. So I'm going to go to polygon, and I'm also going to nudge it down by tapping the arrow keys. Okay, and that just allows me to position the polygon a little bit closer to where I actually want it by selecting the polygon and tapping those arrow keys. Okay. So now that I've got that done, we're now looking at the patterns instructions. And so I want you to go ahead and close all of the visibility buttons for everything above wakeboarding, okay? So everything above wakeboarding has been closed. The book tells you to do this next step on wakeboarding edits, but it actually works better if you use the wakeboarding layer to do this next step. So we're going to select the wakeboarding layer, okay? Now, the next thing we're going to be doing is applying a pattern. So I just want to look and see where they want us to be. Okay, we are on page 375. We are on the wakeboarding layer, and we want to create a new layer. So again, Control-Shift-N. Yeah, you could do that up in the application bar also. We're going to name this layer Pattern. And we're going to make the color violet. Okay, good. So we have a layer between wakeboarding and wakeboarding edits called pattern, and it is visible. Great. The next tool we're going to use as I turn the page is the rectangular marquee tool. Okay, now that you've created a pattern layer, we're going to come over here and select the rectangular marquee tool. Now that I've selected, I'm making sure I'm on the pattern layer because I was doing something else for a moment there. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go a little bit outside. You see where I'm at? I'm not actually on the corner. I'm slightly above the corner and to the left of the corner. I'm going to press and hold the left mouse button down, and I'm going to draw a marquee coming down here to the bottom of this picture. And you see how I'm slightly overlapping this image. That's fine. Go ahead and release the left mouse button. Okay, so now we have a rectangular marquee there drawn in the pattern. The next thing we're going to do is apply the pattern to it. Go to your paint bucket tool, directly under the eraser tool, paint bucket tool. Now right here where it says foreground, you're going to change that to say pattern. Good. Now over here in the thumbnail, just showed up right next to the word pattern. Click on that drop arrow right there. Come over here to the gear and select artistic surfaces. Now it's going to ask if you want to append, and yes, you do. Okay, just one. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and select gauze right here. That's after you did those others. Unfortunately, I am going around with talking to people in the class, and that's why it sometimes seems a little bit choppy while I'm talking. Now, what you're going to do is bring your paint bucket over here into the selection, and you're going to click once. Okay, having done that, Control D to deselect and make your layers visible again. Great. Okay, and that took us through page number 378. Okay, just a minute. Okay, now we're at the formatting type, and that's on page number 378. When we talk about type, we're simply talking about defined shapes of letters, numbers, and symbols. Okay, we are now on page number 380. And the first thing I want you to do on page number 380 is select the horizontal type tool, the big T. Next, we're just going to work our way down. We're going to set the font family, that's right here. We're going to change that to Ravi. Remember, these are in alphabetical order. That's how I find them so quickly. We're going to set the font size to 60. Okay, leave that set to sharp. We're going to right align this time. So click on right align. Now the color, I'm going to go ahead and select the color here. I'm going to move out of the color box, and I'm going to select some blue of the water. Okay, so now that I've got that done, I'll click on OK. Now that I have all of that done, I'm going to go ahead and draw a bounding box about 6.5 inches wide and 1.75 inches tall. So I press and hold the left mouse button down. I'm looking for the width to say something like 6.5. That's good enough. And the bottom one here to say about 1.75. A little bit bigger is fine. And I release. Just a minute. Okay, so we are now back on page number let's see here, 380, and we've set the font family, Ravi, the font. We've set the font size to 60. We're right aligned. We picked the blue, to me that looks like gray, out of the image, and we've drawn our text box here. Now what's going to go in this one is simply we're going to put in the words Screen Extreme, capital S, capital E. Screen, oops, I got to start. Okay. Stand by for just a minute. The problem is I had to leave while I was in the middle of doing something. Okay, I'm redrawing the bounding box if you're wondering what I'm doing here. So I'm just going to go ahead and click there. And again, I want it a little bit over 6.5 and 1.75, and there we go. Okay, so now making sure that we're above our pattern layer right here, okay, but under the wakeboarding edits. Go ahead and type in Screen Extreme. Screen, C-R-E-A-M-E, enter, Extreme. Screen Extreme. And you can see it there. Now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and first hit enter, and now I'm going to move that to this edge over here like you see in the book, okay? Don't be right on the edge. Don't do that. It looks crummy. It looks like it got cut off while you were working, okay? So now you can see I've moved the Screen Extreme layer basically to where I want it. I'm going to go ahead and select the Screen Extreme layer. Now the next thing we're going to do is set the tracking or the spacing between the letters. So I'm going to come up here to Window, Character. Good. Now the one I want to change is this one right here. You see the VA on the bottom right. You got two VAs. You got one on the left, one on the right. You want to go to the one on the right. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select 75. I'll be honest, I don't think that's the best it could look, but that is what they've done. Okay. So let's see here. Anything else? Nope. That's all we're doing to that one. So I'm going to close that by clicking on the character panel right here. Okay. The other thing we need to do at this point is apply a stroke to this text. So I'm going to come down here to the FX. I'm going to go to stroke. You notice I had to click on it twice. Stroke. Wait. They want us to use black. Like I say, there are things I would do better. I would do different. That's just me. But let's go ahead and change that to a 5, even though it says to select the defaults. 5 is easier to see, and we're going to go ahead and click on OK. Good. So now we got that. Now, another thing I want to mention to you, again, personal preference, I feel that the spacing right here between the two lines of text, which is called leading, isn't very good. They've got it too wide. So I'm going to come up here, making sure that I'm on my Screen Extreme layer still. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to select my panel here, and I'm going to go to this one right here, leading. It's the one on the right. Okay, and it says auto right now, and yours probably does too. I'm going to change that. We're using 60-point font, so I'm going to change that to 60-point. You notice it just brought those together a little bit, but I feel the two words fit better that way. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close that panel. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is add the subtitle text. Oh, to go into the reason we put it above the pattern beneath the wakeboarding edits, so that the dripping from wakeboarding edits would slightly be over it, so that it does look like it's under this picture. Okay. At this point, we're on the Screen Extreme layer still, and we're going to go ahead and create another bounding box. So I'm going to click on the T over here, and I'm going to go ahead right about to here, okay? And I'm just going to press and hold and draw another bounding box. Great. Now that I've done that, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to select Stencil for my font, S-T-S-T, Stencil. I'm going to change the font size to 24 because that's what the book says to. We're still going to right align our text, okay? And we're going to change the font color to black. So I'm going to go to one of these bottom corners and select black. Okay, great. Now I'm just going to go ahead and type in the magazine for Extreme Sporters. Enter, and that takes me to my next line. And what goes there? Summer 2014. And I don't see it. Let's see what happened here. I don't see my next line of text if you're wondering what's going wrong here. Go to there, hit enter. That should have taken me to my next line. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make this bigger. I want to see what happened there. Okay. I see what happened. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. Okay. Hit backspace a few times to get rid of that. Okay. Porters. Okay, what happened here is, just to remind you, so I'm on this layer here, I'm on this layer. I'm going to go ahead, and what I had to do to be able to see summer 2014, because you notice at the beginning I couldn't see it, so I made the layer, the box here, the type box, bigger. Okay, don't worry about the fact that it's over other stuff. Just make sure you've got it. Enter. Now I'm going to come back up here, and now we need to change that leading again, auto. And this point, auto works well. Now, keep it in mind, I'm still on this layer here, move tool. I'm going to grab that and I'm just going to move that down to here. Now, make sure you try to get this spacing here and this spacing here the same. Okay, so to get that, again, I just pressed the arrow key instead of trying to drag with my mouse so that we have the same amount right here, because we're lining up on the right. We want to have the same amount of blank space on the right. Do not have it right against the edge of the paper. As I've said before, that looks awful. Okay, Porter. Come on, type tool. ERS. Good, and enter. Good. Okay, so that was our subtitle. We're getting closer. Next thing I want you to do is go ahead and select that layer. Select the word the. Now, back to our character panel, you're going to go to the underline button, which is the big T with a bar under it. Click on that. And again, commit. The magazine, and the is now underlined. Great. Now the next part we're going to do is enter some description text. So I'm going to come up here to the, now this time I want to be above my wakeboarding edits layer. So I clicked on the wakeboarding edits layer this time. Type tool. Let me go ahead and draw my bounding box, that corner there, over to about here. And you can see the size I drew of that bounding box. I might want to bring that in a little bit on the side. I'll decide. There we go. That's good. And you saw that I went to the side sizing handle. for that. Okay, and what does it want? It wants stencil 30 point. So stencil 30 point, left aligned, and the color it wants us to choose is the green from the stroke here. And there we go. Okay. Now we should be right up there, and we're going to go ahead and type in inside this issue, colon. Oops, it's underlined. Not a big deal. I'm going to select it and come back over here. I'm going to turn underline off. Okay. Good. Enter, center, wakeboarding at its at its best. Okay, want a couple more lines of text here. Enter, left align, featuring, colon, enter, center align, your name. Okay, put in your name right there. When you're all done, click on the check mark. Now, if when you did this, it's like, like that or something, is maybe it's like that. Just you saw what I clicked on. I clicked on the move tool after I committed, and I'm just going to move this to make sure that it's all inside the boundaries. Okay, so it's again not touching any edges. We are not done yet though. Okay, just so you're aware. Just want you to know that that's basically what we've got so far, but we are very close. We're going to now add an outer glow to the text. So I'm going to come down here, making sure that my inside this issue layer is the current layer. I'm going to click on the FX down here, and I'm going to go to outer glow. And I'm going to wait. Okay, we're going to make a few changes here. Okay, what do we want? Okay, the first thing we want right here, blend mode, we want linear light. It's here somewhere. Linear light. Great. Okay, the next thing we want to do is change the opacity slider to 50. Okay, we want to adjust the noise to 0. Great. And we want to set the spread to 15%. And see, softer, yes. And we want to come down here to contour, the last one we're going to change. And on contour, so I'm turning the page again just to let you know, we're on page number 386 now. I'm going to go ahead and select shallow curve, which is this one right here. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. Now you see the sort of light around the words, so because I had some students when they were putting their name in saying, well, it doesn't look good because it's green on green. But once you add that outer glow to it, it starts looking a little bit better. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and save. Control S. I'm saving. That took a little bit longer to save because this is a pretty big picture. Then, as you know, the next thing we're going to do is image size, 6 inches. Okay. Good. Control 0 if you care. And file, save as. Come down here. I'm going to rename, going to turn that into a JPEG. This is simply telling us that some of the stuff isn't going to be quite right in the JPEG because the JPEG can't duplicate some of the things like the colors we've chosen. That's okay. Image quality, high, sure. We can go maximum, doesn't really matter. And click on OK. And there you go. So now you've got it saved as a JPEG. Go ahead and turn that in. Now for the next lesson, what we're going to do last in this, what I want you to do is go back to the magazine cover.psd, okay? And I want you to rename it. So you're going to go File, Save As, and this time, actually, I'm going to cancel real quick. I'm going to do this on purpose, okay? And I'm going to close this. No, I don't. The reason is I've resized it to 6 inches, and I want to go to the full size. Open Recent. Come down here, magazine cover.psd. Okay, it did save at 6. That's fine. It's not a big deal. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and File, Save As, and we're going to call this EMS Poster. Oops. Come on. E. Okay, good. And save. And sure. Now, what you're going to do on this assignment is, then, and this is the end of the semester assignment. Just letting you know, you're gonna go ahead and get some pictures that you've taken of EMS here, okay? And you're gonna go ahead and replace some of these pictures. Remember, keep it school appropriate, keep it positive. In other words, no pictures that make people look at and go, oh, that's so sad. No, keep it positive. You're gonna replace the text. What are you gonna replace the text with? Probably something like my year at EMS or something. Uh, and you'll replace all of the text. You might even get rid of some if you want to. And you're going to replace the pictures. And that's so you're going to basically be using this as a template. And using that template, you're just going to go through and you're going to make some changes. And of course, use the filters and all that stuff to make the pictures look the way you want. So that'll be the final project here. We do have a couple of end of chapter projects, though, and you need to make sure that you get those done. And so this was the whole lesson.